Welcome to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. I'm your host, Shannon Ables, and whether you're listening on your commute, exercising, working in the garden, or sitting down with a hot cup of tea or a café au lait, thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome to the 134th episode of the Simple Sophisticate. Today we're going to talk about love, but maybe in a different perspective than what we often find when we're searching for this idea of love. But before I get to today's topic and dive deeper into that concept, I should say, I want to briefly mention what this week's petit plaisir is. It is a Francophile's dream. It is a Parisian traveler's dream. And it may just be a wonderful gift to that particular kind of person that you have in your life that you know will appreciate this gift. But it also could be a gift to yourself. And so I am excited to share with you this week's petit plaisir because it is a true treasure. So stay tuned at the end of today's episode where I'll talk more about that petit plaisir. But now to the topic that we're going to discuss today. Quite simply, titling this episode, Stop Looking for Love and Start Learning How to Love. I want to begin with a quote by Buscaglia, Why Love is a Learned Language. Quote, a startling paradox that bespeaks how we as a culture cripple ourselves in the journey to love. If one wanted to learn about cars, one would without question study about automobiles. If one wanted to become a gourmet cook, one would certainly study the art of cooking, perhaps even attend a cooking class. But when it comes to love, we expect the skill of it will magically bestow itself upon us. No mechanic or cook would ever believe that by willing the knowledge in this field of love, that we'd ever become an expert in it. And I thought these were great analogies. This concept of learning something that we wish to have in our lives, that we wish to be proficient at in our lives. We can't just, I'm going to make it happen in my life. It's just going to occur magically when I meet the right person or the right people come into my life. We would never do that if we were trying to learn, as he said, how to become a gourmet cook or how to become an expert in mechanics. We would practice, we would go to the experts, we would try, we would fail, we would keep learning from our mistakes. And the same must be applied to our understanding of how to love. And that's what we're going to talk about today briefly. We're going to go more in depth as we kick off the new year in 2017. But I want to give you a taste of what we're talking about here. Successful business mogul Warren Buffett has famously advised to write down 25 things we want to do in life and then promptly focus solely on the top 5 and forget about the other 20. Why? The time we have to dedicate to anything is finite, as we know. Therefore, if we want to achieve something of quality, a skill, a reputation, an invention, a business, anything at all, we have to give it our full attention. And if we have a laundry list of things we want to achieve, we are often distracted by what we are not able to do and not fully giving ourselves to what we should be focused on. Along the same argument, in Malcolm Gladwell's best-selling book, Outliers, he shares research that finds that it takes 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to develop the level of proficiency of most professionals. Now, please note that Gladwell further clarifies that this holds true primarily in cognitively demanding fields, but assists tremendously in others, such as sports. Taking into consideration these two components, I couldn't help but ascertain that the combination of focus, as we talk about with Warren Buffett's statement, and practice, as Gladwell speaks about, deliberate practice especially, while helpful in our professional pursuits and pursuit of realizing our dreams, would be quite beneficial within our everyday lives as well. For example, perhaps we too should deliberately practice as well as pay close attention to learning how to cultivate stronger relationships and a deeper, more meaningful everyday experience and overall contentment as we proceed through life. Now, 2 books I have read in the past 6 months shared a common message about one's success in love. Not to equate love to a competition, but rather to be successful in making healthy, deep, sincere connections with others. Choosing to learn how to love is crucial. Considering that expectations, mores, and gender roles have been in constant flux for centuries, we don't enter into the world knowing how to love and love well. It is a learned behavior. And as Dr. Leo Buscaglia reveals in his book, Love, What Life is All About, quote, "One cannot give what one does not possess. To give love, you must possess love. And in order to possess love and then know how to give it, we must become a student of love." Imagine for a moment, as far back as you are able, of what love looked like to you. Maybe it was your parents. Maybe it was revealed in the fairy tales read to you. Maybe it was the television shows or your older sibling talking about their adventures and relationships. While all of these may have contained aspects of love, some far more than others, love is an action that we only learn how to exercise in our own lives if we practice it. And we can only become successful if we practice it properly. Much like watching a cook demonstrate how to slice an onion, we don't become proficient by observing. We become proficient by doing. We cannot buy love. We cannot hire love. No, instead we have to become a student of love and live it every day. Which leads me to the most significant and hopeful news I want to share with you today on this topic. Each one of us can cultivate the love we want in our lives. Each one of us has the potential, and it all begins with us, and then what we begin to put out into the world. Here's another quote to contemplate by Dr. Buscaglia. It's simply this: the limitless potential of love within each person is eager to be recognized, waiting to be developed, learning to grow. With that understanding, let the journey begin. Or should I say, let the course on love begin. I, perhaps like you, have always loved the idea of love, but now I have to ask myself, was I errantly and ignorantly getting in my own way? As the new year begins and the first episode of the Simple Sophisticate podcast goes live on Monday, January 2nd, tune in and discover what I have found out and am looking forward to sharing with you about love and how to become better at loving. For links to the book that I mentioned, as well as the quotes that were shared, feel free to visit the show notes at thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 134. And now to this week's petit plaisir. It is a true treasure. I'll see you in just a few seconds. This week's petit plaisir is a guide book to Paris. It is titled Ma vie à Paris, and it is available in French and English. And it originally was published in January of this year, so about 12 months ago, in French by the French home goods company Ascertain de Villot. And it is a guidebook to the city of light like no other. It is printed by the original printing press, the linotype printing press, and it is then hand created line by line. The original French version, which was released in January, took an entire month to set all of the lines, all of the words and spacing and whatnot. And it is a treasure in the sense that, yes, you're getting a first-hand recommendation guide to where to go, but it's not just the expected places. It does include those that you would probably expect, like various museums, the Louvre and the Palais Royal, but it also includes the most secret and unusual. And what I found fascinating, and I'll provide a couple of links to various articles that have dove deeper into the creation of this book, is that this book, with over 330 pages, gilded lined pages, by the way, so there's gold edges all the way around the book, doesn't look like a guidebook. And this was done purposely by the creators. They wanted to make it appear as though you are not a tourist. You are someone who is holding a beautiful book and is out for a stroll to a secret hideaway coffee shop that maybe nobody in the tourist world would know about. I had the opportunity to flip through this book at a local decor shop here in Bend, Nicole Michelle Decor, and it is full of hand-drawn maps and black and white photographs on nearly every page. And the addresses are simple to follow, and the arrondissements clearly let you know where you are and what's nearby that you might want to visit as well. It is an investment. It is just under $90 in the United States, and it is hard to find in the United States. In fact, the link I'm going to provide is a link to the actual home website of Esther de Villat, and they only ship to Euro countries. So that means you either have to go to your local bookstore and ask them to order it for you, or if you're in Bend, you can go to Nicole Michelle Decor. But it is absolutely worth it. And a handful of my readers, when I took a picture of the book at Nicole Michelle Decor, said that they had already ordered their book from their local bookstore and they couldn't wait to get their hands on it. Amazon doesn't have it. It's just hard to find, but worth finding. And there is a French version if you would like the French version, which actually they have a 2017 French version, so newly updated for the coming year. In Europe, you'll pay 49 euros for this guidebook, and I'll provide links to that direct purchase. But take a look at a few of the images that I shared on today's show notes, the simplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast134, to get a glimpse at how beautiful this book is. I think that if you choose to give it as a gift, the receiver will be truly delighted. And if you choose to pick this up for yourself, you will be giving yourself an even more extraordinary experience in the city of Paris. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Petit Plaisir, where each week ideas are shared to make the everyday all the more enjoyable. Tune in at the end of each Monday's podcast where I'll recommend a book, a film, or a recipe, anything that is a simple pleasure to satiate your sophisticated taste. Thank you for tuning in to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. For more ideas and inspiration throughout the week, stop by the blog, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com, or pick up the book, Choosing the Simply Luxurious Life, A Modern Woman's Guide. To stay caught up on the most recent podcasts, blog posts, and receive exclusive news as well as an extra dose of inspiration, subscribe to the Simply Luxurious Life's weekly newsletter, which arrives in your inbox each Friday to enjoy with a hot cup of tea or your morning coffee, just in time to jumpstart the weekend. Until next Monday, I'm your host, Shannon Ables. Bonne journée!